I'm going to explain how to create sign-in sheets from the Ivy Learn gradebook. So I'm going to show how to have all class sessions on one sheet that looks something like this so that students are always signing in on the same sheet. There is an alternative, which is to have 8 or multiple sign-in sheets, one for each day. It would look something like this, and that would be fine as well. You would just print out that 8 times and use that each week. But like I said, I am going to show how to do the kind of all on one page type of thing. So in order to do that, I'm going to go into my Ivy Learn class and click on the grade book. And then up in the top right corner, there's a button that says export. I'm going to click on that and click export current gradebook view. Depending on what device you're on, it's going to show up in your downloads folder. Might look something like this. And then you can click on that and it will go ahead and open up an Excel file that's going to look kind of messy, but all we care about is this first column right here. So you can just highlight and copy the student names here. So that way you have the right spelling and everything. And then you can put it into the Google Doc template that is shared with this video. If you choose to use the it's Google Sheets template, it's going to look something like this, and you're going to paste in the names there. So you keep everything copied, and then you right click and paste in, and they will come in right here. And then if you wanted to, you can, play with the formatting, maybe make it a little bigger, that kind of thing there. This does leave some space for you to write in like what name perhaps they want to go by. When you do paste it in, if you lose those lines there, the grid lines, you can highlight those and click on the borders right here. And you can select that if you want that formality there. Up at the top, there's a space where you can type in the class number and then the section code there. And then the CRN can be found on your schedule in My Ivy. When you go to print this from Google Sheets, it's probably going to default to the portrait, and we want to do landscape. So you can do something like this and just make sure that you click landscape, and then it should print out from there. So that is printable that way. The other option would be to have an Excel file pulled up if you'd rather work in Excel. So I have a blank template here, and it looks very similar, but it's the same concept where you paste in the students' names, and then you can put the same information up at the top there if you wanted to. So hopefully that helps. The guide for this will be a Google Doc, and it will walk you through all the steps. Looks like this. And it also gives a pro tip at the bottom that talks about how once you start classes, something a lot of instructors have started to do is as soon as the start time of your class hits, they go ahead and highlight all the empty cells. And that allows for the student to still sign in on that cell when they arrive, but it indicates to you as the instructor that they were late. And you could write in the time, maybe if you have time when they arrive, or just know that they were late, and you could probably remember who's who later on in the class. And then when you are doing participation grades, that would factor in to the actual participation grade. And the participation grade is not just, did they attend? That would be attendance. But the participation grade has a rubric that hopefully will be helpful. And it is from 0 to 8 points. And you can grade each week a little differently. Most of the time on the first week, we give students the benefit of the doubt, and pretty much everybody gets 8 points. And then as the session goes on, we kind of start to amp up our grading there a little bit and take into account, yes, their arrival time, but really keep going back to these 4 bullet points that are explained in the syllabus as well. So there's usually at least once or twice I have to revisit this section of the syllabus where it explains how their participation is graded. And so it's something good to do on the first day, but at the beginning of the class, most students are a little overwhelmed and they don't always remember that. But you can always refer to the syllabus section, class active participation requirements. And usually it hits home a little bit more like in weeks 2 and 4 when they're starting to get grades and maybe different participation grades. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with giving any of these grades for participation. And it is helpful to add a little comment about why you gave the grade that you gave. And that could be something about arrival on time, or you'd like to see them participate more, or giving them kudos for maybe helping a classmate, or that kind of thing. So it's important to remind students that they don't have to do all four of these things. Some students are probably never going to be the one to raise their hand and speak in front of the whole class, but that's where they can earn points in the small group discussions and collaborating with classmates. So there's still plenty of opportunities for even our more quiet students to earn points. And also remember that if a student does contact you before class and says they're not going to be there, they then get the 2 out of 8 participation points for that. So hopefully that is helpful. Again, these steps will be linked here in the video. And so you'll be able to follow along with these, but ultimately you're going to end up with a sign-in sheet that looks something like this. And all students have to do is initial. And encourage you to use the highlighting technique if that is something you think would be helpful. And the most important thing is really to probably not do this until a day or two before your class first meets. I know a lot of our IBYT instructors want to be prepared, and I do too. But if you do this too far in advance, then there are sometimes last minute changes to the roster, such as additions, or if someone decides to drop the class or is dropped for non-payment. So it's better to just do it probably, within 24 to 48 hours before your first class session so that it accurately reflects the actual students in your class.